This is Average Joe Finances Podcast, episode 12. Another cool thing that we talked about in that episode that I had with Eric Bowie was doing voiceover work. I thought that was so intriguing when he discussed with me the different things that he does, right? So not just for his church, but he also does voiceover work for a YouTube channel. They pay him to do that. And he makes an additional $400 to $600 a month doing something like that. I thought that was so cool.
Welcome to the Average Joe Finances Podcast. Are you trying to get out of debt, invest, or just not sure where to start? Then this is the place for you. We discuss different ways to get out of the rat race and build your wealth. Join us on this wild ride to financial freedom.
All right, guys. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about side hustles. Okay, so this episode is unscripted, and I just have a couple things pulled up that I want to talk about. So basically, the first thing I'd like to start with is, if you remember a couple weeks ago, I had a guest on. His name was Eric Bowie, and we talked about some of the different things he did to make income. One of them was actually selling shoes on eBay, and he did that, and he was able to put his daughter through college just from something that he did as simple as selling shoes on eBay. And she graduated completely debt-free. So this is something that we call retail arbitrage, right? And I'm going to put a link in the show notes to that episode with Eric Bowie down below. And you can also click up here, over here, maybe, and check it out, okay? I'm just going to explain it a little bit, right? So retail arbitrage is you go to like the clearance section of Walmart, Target, or any store, and you find particular items that you think would sell online for a decent price. There's different apps out there that you can use to actually scan them, and it will pull up different places that are selling them online, and you can compare the prices and say, hey, I found this fishing pole here at Walmart. It's in the clearance rack for $5. You scan it and, oh wait, it's being sold on Amazon for $30, or it's being sold on this website for $35. Okay, boom, throw it up on eBay for $29, right? Come in a little bit lower and make the sale, make it happen, right? So retail arbitrage takes some time, right? Because you're actually going out there, you're physically going and you're buying different items. This is something, if you're going to do it, you have to be prepared to dedicate some time to do that. On top of that, you have to ship the items out and make sure it makes it to your customers. If you live in Hawaii like me, it might not be a good side hustle for you, because obviously everybody knows shipping anything from Hawaii is very expensive, or shipping anything to Hawaii is very expensive. It's just a different thing you can look at. If you find an item that you really want to sell that's going to be big on Amazon, and you buy it in bulk, you can send it to a fulfillment center that Amazon has, and they'll basically take care of everything for you whenever somebody buys it off Amazon. Now, this one's a little bit more difficult. You have to do a lot of research on the product and make sure that you're not buying something that's already phased out. Like, now's probably not a good time to buy 10,000 fidget spinners and sell them on Amazon, because that hype's kind of gone, right? Some people do this. They look for whatever that next big thing's going to be. They buy a bunch of it, and they do Amazon FBA, which is fulfillment by Amazon. There's a lot of money to be made there if you do it, but you have to constantly be searching for that item that's going to be the next big thing, right? You see a lot of people walking around now walking their dogs with those light up leashes, right, and light up collars. Those were probably bought on Amazon FBA. So somebody had bought them in bulk and sold them that way. A lot of little knickknacks that you see that are very popular, that's usually how that goes down. So if you want to be the first in line to make it happen, go for it. Just make sure you do your research, okay? Selling items on eBay is one thing. You could use Facebook Marketplace. There's so many different options you could do to sell things. You can recycle your smartphone. If you have an old smartphone, there's a website called Gazelle that you can use, and that's a pretty good option. Another thing that's really popular that I enjoyed doing myself as a side hustle for a while is driving for Uber or Lyft, right? So let me talk to you a little bit about what I did when I drove for Uber, okay? I've stopped since the pandemic started, especially since it started getting pretty rough out here in Hawaii, right? Basically, before the pandemic hit, I was driving people from the airport down to Waikiki. I would pick them up at the airport, and I would drop them off, and I would make $30 to $40 per trip. It was pretty awesome. I would only do this on the weekends, right? But I would get up super early, about 4 o'clock in the morning, drive out to the airport by 4:30, and I would wait. Once I picked somebody up, drove them to Waikiki, it was probably still early enough. I would drive back to the airport and do it again, make another trip back to Waikiki. And then at that point, it's kind of like later in the morning and folks are getting up out of their hotel room and they're getting out and about. Then I would hang out in Waikiki for a while and make a couple runs that way. And by noon, maybe 1 o'clock the latest, I was done for the day. Doing it this way, I was making just from Uber alone between $150 to $200 a day, which was really awesome. The other thing that I did besides Uber, it was kind of like a side hustle within my side hustle. I actually linked up with a guy who sells tours. So he sells tours and different events that you can do while you're visiting here in Hawaii. I had all of his pamphlets and other pamphlets in the back seat of my car. So, you know, the little flap you have on the passenger seat and the driver's seat, and I stuck them all back there. And when I would pick up a passenger from the airport, a lot of times, you know, they're all tourists coming in, and they would start flipping through the pamphlets and say, oh yeah, this looks pretty cool. And we'd get to talking about it. And I'd say, hey, let me link you up with the guy who can get you set up with all this. I linked them up. If anybody bought one of those tours or did one of those events with him, I would get a $20 cut for each person that I sent his way. So it was pretty cool. A nice little easy way to pick up a little more cash. Now, there's something similar I want to do once the pandemic kind of lightens up a bit more and I feel more comfortable picking up passengers again. As I was picking up folks from the airport, a lot of them were also moving to Hawaii and they were looking to buy a home. Some of them would ask me, hey, do you know any good realtors around here? And of course, you know, I would give them some information and that would be that. But now that I'm a licensed realtor, I can take that person as a referral to another realtor and I can actually get a cut of that commission. It's called a finder's fee, right? Being a licensed realtor, I still have my full-time job in the Navy, I'm not taking on clients right now because I don't feel like that would be fair to them or fair to my day job in the Navy, right? Because that takes a lot of time for me. And I don't want that to affect my reputation, right? Because when I do retire from the Navy, real estate, being an agent is going to be what I do full time. That's definitely something that's important to me. And I don't want to just start taking on clients and then trying to tell them, hey, sorry, I got to take care of my day job first, you know, before I can help you. Let's meet up tonight. And it's just too late for them. It's just not going to work, right? So I'm pretty excited that once things get a little bit better, that I can start doing that again. And who knows, maybe I'll pick up a couple referral clients that way. That's pretty much it for Uber and Lyft. I mean, you can try it if it's safe in your area. Definitely wear a face mask and have your passengers wear a face mask because you don't want to be getting sick, right? There's other things you can do that doesn't involve you actually being around people. If you want to do Uber Eats, right? Or Postmates, Grubhub, different things like that, where you can actually do food deliveries, go pick it up from the restaurant, take it to them, and it's all contactless, and you get paid for that. It doesn't pay as well as, you know, actually picking up passengers with Uber. However, it's safer and it's just a little something you could do. It's a lot quicker and you might actually get more response with that because a lot of people just don't want to go out to eat just because of the way things are right now. So a lot of people are ordering in and sometimes it's nice to do that and not, you know, cook every day. All right, another thing you can do, if you have the space and you're in an area where you can do it. Now, we can't do this in certain areas here in Hawaii, but you can rent a spare room on Airbnb. So if you're in a good market for that, that's definitely something to look into. Some people will just rent out a bedroom. Some people rent out a section of their house. It just depends on what you're looking for. Now, Airbnb got hit really hard with this pandemic, so it could be difficult just depending on the area that you live in and how things are progressing with the pandemic in that particular area. One of the things that I've used as a service a bunch of times is Fiverr, right? So I've actually had this logo here, this logo right here. I had that made on Fiverr. I paid somebody to do that for me. The intro that you heard for the podcast and also the outro that you're going to hear later, I actually paid for that on Fiverr. So there's some things that I just outsource because one, I don't have the time, and two, there's some really talented people out there that can make some fantastic products, right? I could play around on Photoshop all day and make different designs, but when I'm trying to design my own logo and I'm trying to think about what I want in my head, you know, I made a pretty nice one last time, but I wanted to change it up and I wanted something a little more visually pleasing. And, so I told the idea of what I wanted to this guy. He gave me a couple different options, and this is the one that I really liked, right? I like that it's very recognizable. I like the fact that it feels like, it's got that upward flow to show that upward momentum, because that's where I want our money going, right? I want to always be on that upward trend. I thought it was really neat, and I thought they did some great work. Same thing for my intro and outro. The guy there did some fantastic work. Can I probably make something similar? Sure. Do I have the time to do that? Maybe some days I can. Some days it wouldn't be as easy. But at the same time, just the time that I would have to dedicate and then, or even just learn how to do it myself, it was worth me paying somebody else to do it. And I really think that they've done fantastic work. There's so many different things that you can have done on Fiverr. There's guys that do podcast cover art. Now, I do my own, right? I actually do that in Photoshop and everything myself. I've seen some really awesome cover art made for different podcasts. And I asked those guys, hey, man, like, that's really cool. How'd you get that made? Oh, I actually had it made on Fiverr. Definitely a lot of people using that service. It's definitely something that is marketable and can really help other people that are struggling during this time, and also help small businesses that are trying to start something up. Another cool thing that we talked about in that episode that I had with Eric Bowie was doing voiceover work. I thought that was so intriguing when he discussed with me the different things that he does, right? So not just for his church, but he also does voiceover work for a YouTube channel. They pay him to do that. And he makes an additional $400 to $600 a month doing something like that. I thought that was so cool. And I was like, I have a nice mic, and not really like a sound area, like a soundproof area, but this kind of works for me. So I've been looking into it. I haven't really, hit the accelerator on that yet. I think it's really cool. It might be something I try here in the future, just to do some voiceover work. Maybe I'll use my nice voice, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Anyway, just having fun with it, right? So another thing you can do, and some people call this a side hustle, and it can be if you really make it that way, is start a blog. So I started Average Joe Finances. It's not making me any money, and I don't really plan on it making me money like the blog itself. However, it's an avenue for me to share my experiences. Same thing with this podcast, to share things that I've done and maybe help somebody else along the way. That's the ultimate goal of what we're trying to do here, right? But there's some people out there that start these blogs, and I know it's more of like a 2010 thing, right? Oh yeah, could start a blog, make a lot of money. That was like a big thing back then. But there's people starting blogs now that are doing phenomenal work and actually making quite a bit of money just based off of the different companies that they have their advertising with, and they get sponsored, right? So it's definitely an option you guys can, check out. Another thing is writing an ebook, right? Or just a regular book. A lot of people are writing their own books nowadays, and not all of them are great, but some of them are, like, some people are putting out some really good content in these books. And I've bought a couple myself from people that I respect and that I feel give good advice, different folks that I listen to their podcasts. There's some really good stuff out there, but there's also a lot of duds. So just be careful. But if you have a good idea or you have a really good story and you want to share it, write an ebook. I mean, even give away a couple for free, get some reviews going, and then sell it. There's different things you can do. I'm writing a book right now myself. It's probably going to be an ebook and a paperback book, because I like holding a book in my hands versus just having an ebook on a tablet and you're just swiping and reading. But even audiobooks too, there's people that will pay you to actually do the voiceover for their audiobook. You can actually be the person, the voice of the audiobook. That kind of goes over into that voiceover work that I was talking about, right? A lot of people are doing this nowadays, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, but creating your own online course. Now, if it's something that really stands out, like you're a phenomenal cook of a specific kind of food, then maybe create a course to do that, right? For a while, I was looking at creating my own financial literacy course, and there's just so many out there online and so much good information, and there's so much stuff for free that I decided I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to do that. There's some people out there that are selling courses that are essentially free information that you could just find anywhere. Now, there's some other people out there selling courses that I really respect because they took something that they were really good at and they said, hey, I'm going to show other people how to do this and make some money while doing it. There's actually some good courses on social media, honestly. I've got a friend who sells a course on LinkedIn on how to build your influence on LinkedIn. And let me tell you, like, that is one of the most underrated social media platforms out there, if you ask me. I think LinkedIn is that powerhouse. When I look at on the stats of my website, when I look at where the referrals are coming in from, a lot of times it's coming from LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has a lot of influence, especially in the small business side. Let's take a quick break from today's episode to hear from our show sponsors. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Mike Cav from Average Joe Finances. Just want to talk to you today about Prep Agent. If you're interested in learning how to become a real estate agent and being able to pass the test on your first try, check out Prep Agent at www.prepagent.com. Use code AVGJOE, that's Average Joe, AVGJOE, to get an additional 20% off.
You're listening to the Average Joe Finances Podcast. Whether it's single or multifamily real estate, the stock market, or side hustles, we discuss it all. Strap in and enjoy the ride.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's get back into it. I have another friend of mine who did something called Taskrabbit, right? And one of the things that they did on there was cleaning houses. Like, you can go in there and you could take a job where, hey, somebody wants their kitchen cleaned, completely scrubbed down top to bottom. You do that job, you take photos of your work and send it in, or they go inspect it afterwards and you get paid. Like, that's pretty cool. You know, there's other things out there. There's an app called Wag, I believe. You can get on there and you can walk dogs. You mark, if they went to the bathroom, and that's about it. And then you return the dog back and you get paid for it. I mean, some people either for whatever reason can't, if they have physical ailments and they want their dog to go out and get exercise. There's some value there, right? Different gigs that you can do online that people might not think so. You might think about who's going to pay somebody to walk a dog. It's actually a big thing. And from what I understand, it actually pays quite well. I've never done it before, so full disclaimer there. I've just heard of other people that have done it, and I know that it's been something that's been decent for them, right? So besides selling items on eBay, one of the things you could do is sell products on Etsy, especially if it's products that you make yourself. A lot of times people like handmade crafts. It's definitely something that, if you're a stay-at-home parent, or you just have a lot of free time on your hands and you want to make different things, go for it. Worst that can happen is you just have a bunch of crocheted scarves that you have lying around because they didn't sell. Just don't go out of your way to go crazy and buy a lot of material. If you can speak multiple languages, when I was talking about courses before, this is actually something that might work out quite well if you can teach somebody another language. As a matter of fact, for a long time, I kept seeing these ads for basically being an English teacher for young Chinese children. And you can actually sign up for this program. You're basically teaching them their lesson in English. And it's kind of like an immersion technique that they use for them to learn English. And it's pretty decent. You don't have to know Mandarin to do it. I thought that was very interesting. Yeah, teaching different languages, right? Hey, this might sound old school, but you remember when you were a kid and you would go take the lawnmower and go over to the neighbor's house and go around the neighborhood and say, hey, I'll mow your lawn for $20 or whatever. It's something you could do now as an adult. There's a lot of folks that need some love in their yard and they don't want to spend a lot of money to get a professional landscaper to come out. So you just go over there with your lawnmower and say, hey, I'll mow your lawn, $10, $15, whatever, just depending on the size, right? Could be a good way to make a little extra cash, right? If you were physically fit, and I've had a couple people messaging me lately, because I've definitely let myself go, right? I'm working on it, people. I'm working on it. But if you're really physically fit and you're good at what you do in the gym, or you're a distance runner, you like an endurance athlete, maybe think about taking on some clients and, showing them your techniques and what they do, what you do. Start a plan with somebody and, bring them out on your runs. Maybe you can have a whole class. Who knows, right? That's definitely something that you can do to make a little extra cash. Another thing that you can do, and I have a very close friend of mine who does this, is give music lessons if you're good at any type of instrument. I would love to teach other people how to play the drums, right? But I'm not that good myself, right? I'm decent. I need a new drum set. I do have a friend of mine who gives music lessons on the side. He actually went to school for music, and he's very, very brilliant when it comes to this. But that's, just different things that you can try to do. There was another thing I did on the side a while back, because my job in the Navy, I do a lot of administration, writing a lot of executive correspondence and things like that. I actually used to help people write resumes, and I actually got paid pretty decently for helping people write resumes. And I would spend maybe 15 to 20 minutes on each resume that I looked at and get it all nice and cleaned up. I was pretty much the editor for that particular group. And that's definitely something that worked out pretty neat. If you're good with helping somebody better themselves, just with the way that they word certain things, then that might be an option for you. There are people that will pay for help with a resume because, let's face it, folks that are looking for jobs right now need all the help they can get, because it's really rough out there right now with unemployment being so high, and it's not looking like it's going to get any better anytime soon. So if you're in a big touristy area. Now this is kind of going back to what I was talking about with the Uber driving. You can actually, if you know the area quite well, become a local tour guide. This could be a nice way to make a few extra bucks and show people around, or even just a way for you to get to know your city better, right? Now, of course, during these times, make sure you're wearing a mask, make sure the people that you're taking on the tour are wearing masks, but it's definitely something that you can look at as an option. If you're pretty good at making different logos and designs, like I was talking about with Fiverr, one of the things you can do is possibly make some really cool t-shirt designs. As a matter of fact, people sell t-shirt designs on Fiverr, and then people turn around on Fiverr and they'll buy those t-shirt designs. They'll make a t-shirt and they turn around and sell it on Teespring, or they'll do a print on demand with like Printify or Printful, and they'll open up their own Shopify store to sell those things, or you can do it on WordPress with WooCommerce. That's actually how I sell the shirts that I have on my website. So if you want any of this swag right here, you can go get it. And, and I make it that way, and it's a print on demand, and it's not too bad. I don't make much for each shirt that sells, but it's just still something that you can make a little extra income with, right? So one of the other things that I do personally is I do some financial coaching. Basically, I do the just down to the basic stuff, right? I've worked with people, clients of mine that, have no financial literacy, and, basically I just try to get them to a spot where they understand their money and they understand what they're doing with their money, right? So you have to employ your money and make it work for you. So I enjoy doing this very much. I help them build their first budget. What's pretty cool is some of the ones that I've been working with, I've been doing follow-ups with them now. I'm coming up on 2 months with my first client. Going to do a 2-month checkup on them and see how they're doing. And it's been very awesome to see how their life has changed since they started budgeting. I don't take credit for that whatsoever. This is the work that they put in. And it's just really exciting to be a part of that journey with them. And that's one of the things that I love about what I'm doing here with Average Joe Finances. And for all of you that listen and participate in the Facebook group and on the blog, I really appreciate you guys. I really believe that we're building a community of like-minded folks that are just trying to build each other up and not break each other down. I want to continue doing this as long as I can. I really enjoy it, and thank you all very much. Thank you to my listeners. Thank you to everybody that participates in the group. If you haven't checked out the group yet, it's a Facebook group. It's just called Average Joe Finances. You can probably search for it on Facebook. Definitely check it out. Join us. Join in on the conversation. Would love to have you there. Of course, AverageJoeFinances.com. That is my main website. I have most of my stuff there, the blog, the podcast. But definitely check us out on all of our different social media platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest. I'll make sure I put links to all of that. Actually, I'm going to put a link to my Flow page in the show notes, which will have links to all of our social media. Hey, thank you everybody for listening. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. And remember, this is just wave top stuff, guys. Take this, do your research, and go out there and crush it. Go make some extra money with doing some side hustles. Invest it and make it happen. Let's go. Hey, if you're watching this video on YouTube, be sure to smash that like button and click subscribe. Also, if you're listening to this as a podcast, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on our newest episodes. Be sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. All the links are in the description below.
Thanks for listening to the Average Joe Finances Podcast, your source for beating debt, saving money, and investing. Learn more at averagejoefinances.com.
The Average Joe Finances Podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Do not use this for any real estate or investment making decisions. All views by myself or our guests are solely our own and do not reflect the opinion of our employers.